I'm Murph, he's Andy, and we're thrilled to accept the Champions Award, and we're glad to tell you who really deserves it.
Yeah, so we'll tell you kind of what happened. It's a Tuesday morning, and word gets out that 6 of our colleagues here at the station have been fired, and 2 local shows here at KXNO have been cut completely. Our show has been spared, but our producer has been one of those who's been fired. So at that point, I'm just starting to prep for the show, and he's on vacation.
Yeah, I remember when you called me, at first you had trouble convincing me that this was real, but I was thinking, this is the worst prank of all time if you're pranking me on vacation that all these people have been fired. So eventually I do believe it, and we talk it out, and we just feel like we shouldn't do our show. We shouldn't do our show out of respect to the people who've been fired, and we shouldn't do our show because we don't think we can do it without our producer with no warning. I mean, it's the same day.
So what we do is the first thing we start reaching out to people to let them know what's going on.
Yeah, I put it on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram just respectfully that we didn't feel like we could do our show under these circumstances. And the feedback we immediately got was that everybody was with us. I mean, we had complete backing on that, didn't feel any pressure from our listeners to do the show. And then you took the time to reach out to sponsors, which was really smart, and they appreciated it so much.
Yeah, just made a list of every single one of them, contacted all of them, and in some cases I actually got in the car and drove out to see them to explain exactly what happened and what was going to happen from here on out, what our mindset was. And to a person, every single one of them said, we understand, we support you, and as a matter of fact, if you're not back on the air, neither are we.
Yeah, and this is just building on social media. It's hundreds of comments, and there's so much outrage about the loss of this vital local programming, these shows, and now our show's not on, that it gets on the local newscast, and eventually it receives national attention.
And we think it's going to be the same old thing. Yeah, there's this great big backlash, but the corporate side just kind of tunes it out, doesn't hear it at all, and nothing becomes of it.
But and we may be fired.
Yeah, and then we think we're going to get fired as well, and maybe that's part of the plan to begin with, but that's where this thing takes a turn. We're wrong about that. They do hear us.
And we hear from our general manager who calls me down in Mexico, and he says, hey, I'm working on something big. Hold tight. Give me a day.
We don't know what to expect at this point. So again, we're still communicating with our listeners and sponsors and letting them know what's going on. And at that point, they're kind of enthusiastic because they're feeling like they are being heard.
That what we hear from our GM, Joel McRae, the next day is beyond our expectations. He says, we're going to bring back both shows. All 6 people have their jobs back. And we're going to FM because at a time of layoffs, if you're going to bring 6 people back, you got to figure out how to get that revenue back, how to create more revenue. So Joel seizes this opportunity to get something he's wanted for a long time, which is KXNO on FM. So all jobs restored, all shows restored, and everybody in the community suddenly realizes local radio is more important than they thought it was.
Now, we got a lot of credit for this. The credit doesn't belong to us. The credit belongs to the listeners and the sponsors who made their voices heard.
Yeah, they made this happen, sincerely. I mean, we have gotten pats on the back, but this happened because of listeners. This happened because of sponsors, and we are thrilled to receive this award, and it's very meaningful to us, but we receive this award on behalf of our listeners. Local radio, it matters more than anybody around here realized it, except the listeners. They knew it. Now everybody knows it.
Yeah, listeners and the sponsors. Don't forget the sponsors, everybody.
Thank you.